Welcome to Eagles and Airwaves, voices and topics from Thompson Valley High School.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game Corner. I'm Kason.
And I'm Andrew.
And I have a guest today, and that is Andrew.
Hi. You may know me from a popular podcast, Unfunny.
Yeah, check it out. They haven't done an episode in 3 years, but...
Because Hunter graduated.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Very.
Quite unprofessional, if you ask me.
Okay, I'd like to see you try.
Anyway, I'm interviewing Mr. Ramos here. Mr. Ramos, what game would you want to talk about today?
I don't know. I got thrown into this podcast by force.
Not by force. He was willing.
Let's talk about Risk of Rain. A
Risk
DLC
of Rain.
just came out for it recently that broke it for a few days.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So for those of you who don't know, Risk of Rain is a game where you get a bunch of items through chess and stuff, and then you beat a boss and you go to the next stage, and you keep doing that for like 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long you want to play the game.
Right.
So,
Are there like classes in this game?
yes, there are a bunch. There are, I think, 10 to 12 now. They range from anywhere from melee classes to range to stealth, anything. Anything you could want, they have. And they have 2 DLCs now. One of them that just came out was Seekers of the Storm, but one that's been out for a while is
Survivors of the Void.
Survivors of the Void, thank you. I couldn't think of the name. Anyway.
What's your favorite character?
My
to play
favorite
as?
character, I like the robot multi because they have high DPS and also they're fun to play as.
What would you say your second favorite character is?
Railgunner because they have very high DPS and they're probably the most broken character.
I see.
Okay. So, Seekers of the Storm broke the game, and what happened was Gearbox, the company, bought out the people who made Risk of Rain and helped publish this DLC, and they destroyed it. They did not do a good job. All the items that they added were not that great. 2 of the characters so far that I've played, one has been okay, the other one has been decent, and then there's one more that I have yet to unlock. But for the first few days of the DLC coming out, you couldn't play the game without either A, risking all of your progress to be lost, or just being hard locked out of the game. So you just couldn't do anything.
Did they say anything like about that?
No.
They just acted like it didn't happen?
Yeah. And then, like, when people were complaining about it on social medias, they were just like, we're investigating it. Don't worry. It'll be up soon. It took them 3 days.
3 days.
I want to turn down the mics a little bit.
How much was the DLC?
The DLC was $15, and it added some content. A lot of it is not that good. Survivors of the Void was a lot better of a DLC. But now that you're actually able to play the game without risking all of your progress and everything else, you might have fun with it. I mean, I definitely still play it, but...
I don't think I've played the DLC yet.
Yeah, because you
My
don't
favorite
play the game
character
anymore.
was the engineer.
Oh.
Because what the engineer did, there's an item in the game called the bustling fungus. And what the bustling fungus is, when you stand still for 1 second, it creates a little green field of mushrooms around you that heals you. Fun thing about the engineer is it's one of its abilities is it places down a turret that
has
inherits all of your abilities and items. So basically you stack like 20 bustling fungus and you
the area
sit
increases.
still. And the area increases and the healing is also getting increased every time. And it's kind of counterproductive because it's a game where you have to do stuff.
Where you move around a lot, and
Yeah.
a lot of the time you are not standing still. So it's only good for the engineer most of the time.
Oh, one time I had a build. Andrew was there.
I hated it. It was
there's
so unfun.
There's a void item from the void
it's
DLC.
not even a void item. It's a lunar item that has an upside and a downside.
Yeah, okay. So what it does is it doubles your health, but it halves your movement speed. I picked up 17 of those items.
He moved at a snail's pace, and he was the only one alive at one point. And
I could not die.
yeah,
I had too many fungus.
and also it was so far into the game. We had a lot of items. He wouldn't die, and
But I couldn't beat the boss because it was a clone of me. Oh, you want to talk about that? The challenges that you can add?
oh yeah, so there are artifacts you can put on that will add difficulty or just change up how you play the game. And one of them is artifact of doppelganger or something like that. And every 10 minutes, it will summon an exact copy of you with items and everything to try and hunt you down and end your game.
So, funny thing about that, I can't. I did like no damage because I only picked up fungus. And there was a doppelganger
Who also couldn't die.
who could not die nor deal damage.
So it was up to either me or our other friend who was playing with us to get rid of them. But
But they both died.
so we couldn't. And so for the next, I want to say 15 to 20 minutes, Kason was just playing the game, spawning in more doppelgangers that wouldn't kill him.
Eventually, I fell off the map, and that was the only way I could die because that takes a percentage of your health.
And it doesn't do a set amount of damage.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason he was able to die, and we set off on a different game.
I was banned from playing engineer.
Yeah, and you haven't played Risk of Rain since.
I have not played Risk of Rain since. That was my magnum opus.
You could have had better if
That's
you just
true.
weren't slower than I don't even know. You were just your own category of slow.
It was funny though.
It was not that funny.
There was a certain type of humor in it that you can't get from any other.
It was not that funny. It was more annoying than anything.
Well, that's because you weren't playing.
And the only funny part was hearing our other friend Derek go, "Oh, Kason, look what we have over here," and it was another one of those items that doubles your health.
Yeah. Is there anything else important about Risk of Rain 2?
There's slimes called gups, and then when you knock them down a stage, they turn into gips, and then when you knock them down to their final stage, they're called what is it? Geeps. It's geeps.
That's hilarious.
I love Risk of Rain.
There's lore actually too.
There's a lot of lore, but I don't care enough for
One
it.
of the only lore things I read was of the parent. So there's an enemy in Risk of Rain called there's the parent, the grandparent, and then there's the child. And the lore
They're
says
big yellow guys, basically, that can
Yeah.
teleport around.
so what the lore says that the child takes care of the parent, the grandparent takes care of the child, and the parent takes care of the grandparent. But the strangest thing about it is the grandparent's the youngest one, even though it's the biggest. And it's
Is
also
that actually true?
it is. You should read the lore of the grand. It really confused me.
I just don't believe you.
Google it.
I'm gonna safari it because you said
It's
something.
Safari. You're gonna kill us all. It's like using Firefox. I mean, that could also just be wrong because it's been a while. But no, the lore
Who
is
is
crazy.
this, and why is it telling me that the cause of death was a stroke?
What?
What did I find?
What did you find?
I don't know. I don't like this. Oh, I found the wiki. Let's see if you're right.
All right, read it aloud for the class.
No.
Well, like 5 people listen to this podcast, by the way. So you're on a
Why
really
does it
massive.
due to the? Okay, so you know how some websites are set up properly so you could read it top to bottom without having to scroll to the
Yeah.
left or right.
Yeah.
This one has a long scroll to the left.
That's awful.
Yeah, I'm not reading this. I'm just gonna take your word for it
Oh yeah.
for once.
For once.
I never take your word for anything.
All right. Well,
And like how
I
you
think-
said that you would play Risk of Rain whenever, and when I bought it for you, you played it like 3 or 4 times.
I did not only play it 3 or 4 times.
You played it a minimal amount.
One time I
and
did a
I keep
solo
asking
run.
you to keep playing with me, and you say no.
You haven't.
Your attention, staff and students. We are going on a hold.
Does that mean we have to stay on the podcast?
I think that means we have to stay on the podcast.
I hate.
At this point, remain
Oh,
in the
wait, we
classroom
might actually.
and do not let anyone leave.
We might want to exit the
If your class
podcast at
is
this
going as normal,
at this
remain in
point.
the classroom
All right,
until you
well,
hear an announcement.
This is an appropriate
If you're
end
not
to
following
this
the
podcast.
Well, thank you all for listening.
Again, we
I
are
give
going
Risk of
on a
Rain
hold, and this is not a drill.
7 gold stars out of 7 gold stars.
Why are you
Mr.
doing
Ramos,
7 out
what
of
do
7?
you?
All right. Looks like we will. Oh, okay. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that.
Yes,
folks.
indeed.
Um,
It appears something has happened.
However, we shall see you next time, I'm guessing. Well, Kason will. I'm
Oh.
not coming on this podcast again.
Ever
Maybe.
again.
I might. I haven't decided
Yeah,
yet.
potentially. What would you rate Risk of Rain 2?
Are we doing out of 7 because you're weird?
No, I did out of 10.
You did out of 7. You said 7 out of 7.
Did I not say 7 gold stars out of 10 gold stars?
You said 7 out of 7.
I'm gonna listen to this through, and if you're wrong,
I'm not wrong. Okay, so I'd give Risk of Rain a solid 8 out of 10. I like it a lot.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
All
Definitely
right.
improve on some things, but I like it. I'll play it more.
I see. Well, that's it for this episode of Game Corner. I was Kason,
And I'm Andrew.
and one of us, or potentially both, will see you next time.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Eagles and Airwaves, Voices and Topics from Thompson Valley High School.